Hi, I'm Jonathan Clayton. I'm 25 years old, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, a student at the University of Tennessee, and this is me here saying that it really does get better. Um, I grew up in an extremely conservative Christian household in the South. Um, Being gay was not an option. It was not acceptable. It was not talked about. If it was talked about, it was talked about in the sense of if you're gay, you're going to hell. And that's really about it. That your friends and family would abandon you, that you'd die alone, and that it wasn't the way you wanted to go. Um, it caused a lot of problems growing up. I realized I was gay when I was 12 years old. I consciously realized it anyway. Um, and between the ages of 12 and 16, I tried to kill myself 3 times um, by overdosing on whatever pills I could get my hands on. Thankfully, I was found either in the process or immediately after, um, and somebody realized something was going on, and I was taken to the hospital. Um, and I couldn't be a lot more thankful for that. There's so many things I would have missed out on that I wouldn't have experienced had I succeeded in ending my life. Um, having grown up in such a strictly religious household with an abusive stepfather in the house, there's so many problems. Um, and even when I was taken to counselors and psychologists, they were all through my church. I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody, couldn't tell them what was going on because if I told them, they would tell my parents, and then it would just be a whole other set of issues that I didn't want to deal with and wasn't ready or able to deal with at the time. I finally came out to my best friend when I was 18. We had been and are still best friends, but have been best friends since we were 6. And I was so petrified I couldn't even open my mouth to say it to him. We were sitting next to each other at our computers in our dorm room, and I IM'd him. And then I got ready to tell him and couldn't even type it. I was so scared. I kind of made him guess, and it turned out that he's bisexual, and it just couldn't have been a whole lot easier of a situation. But I was terrified to the point that it was another 2 years before I told any of my other friends. I told one of my closest friends who used to kind of make jokes about it. I know that sounds awful, but he's more like a brother than a friend. And so he used to kind of, when are you going to just finally tell me? And finally one day I was like, fine, you know what, I am. And he gave me a big hug, um, and told me that it was okay and he didn't care. Um, and and we're still extremely close today. Um, all of my other close friends know. Actually, really all my friends know. Pretty much everyone I went to high school with, anybody that I work with now, go to college with, whatever. No one cares. Um, I have family members that know, mostly cousins. Some are supportive. Some aren't the biggest fan in the world, but still supportive. Um, and that means the world to me. And whether you think it or not, you will have family members that are supportive, um, and friends. My friends, in so many ways, have become my family, um, and they really are there for me. No matter what I need, they would drop everything and drive 400 miles across the state to help me if I really needed something. Um, but it just gets so much better. I know high school can suck, especially if people that are made fun of and tormented and things like that. Thankfully didn't experience too much of that in high school. Most of my problems were internal and at home. Um, but find that teacher, that counselor that you can talk to. I know I had several that had I been more aware, or been felt like I was able to, I could have talked to. And teachers had actually talked to me without me realizing it and made me realize that it was going to be okay. Um, they're out there. There are other groups. There are so many internet resources that I didn't have growing up. The internet was still, makes me sound so old. The internet was still fairly new. Um, and it's just so much more of a, there's so much more of a support network out there today. But it really does get better. I would have missed out on senior prom with friends. I would have missed out on my first boyfriend. I would have missed out on, my first kiss and all these different things, um, that are great and important memories. Even if the relationships don't work out, the memories there are great, and they're things that you should be here to experience. It's not worth ending your life over. If there aren't supportive people in your life, find some. Go to a local LGBT community center. Most even mid-sized cities have those anymore. Um, Internet forums, even though they're not always the most personal things, you can make some really good friends off of them. Um, just do whatever you need to do. Um, but don't give up. Just know that it will get better. I had a boss tell me when I was 17. She was actually the very first person I came out to. She was a lesbian, and she told me that you'll go off to college and you'll tell people and it'll get better and it'll be okay. And I didn't believe her. I just couldn't believe her, and she couldn't have been more right. Um, and people like that, they make the world go round. Um, so just remember that you are special to someone, and that you will be special to someone, and that you need to be out there to find that person. You never know how positively you could affect someone else's life. Um, but it truly does get better. Keep that in mind and just keep on keeping on, and that's all we can do.